We be here, bitch.
Hola.
Hola, ¿cómo estás?
Oye, ¿cómo va?
Hello and welcome to the Freemasons Podcast with your hosts, Right Worshipful Brother George Mudry.
And Worshipful Brother Joe.
We're up here, episode 244, Alternate Universe, and we're going to let the Wheel of Destiny choose it.
Yeah, so explain the Wheel of Destiny, how you came up with it and how that's actually going to work.
Well, I was trying to think of different ideas for an alternate universe. I've been saying for a while we need to do an alternate universe because it's nice not reading somebody's bio and actually using our own brains as to what we think would happen in an alternate universe. So, ironically, there's a web page for everything, but there's a web page that's called Spin the Wheel.
Oh.
I typed in Spin the Wheel, alternate universe, and sure shit, it popped up. Some of them don't apply to us. One of them is like fandom based. Another one was alien invasion. We've already kind of did that already.
All right. So if we land on one that we've already done, we'll spin again? Or?
I edited them out. I took them out, and I put in something that was kind of the same but different. It kind of applies to us more so than just a generic thing. I'm assuming this is for somebody who's got like a writer's block.
Yeah, okay.
Because that's kind of what it was geared to.
Okay.
So I kind of took it from there. We're going to do some homework first.
We got to light this thing up behind us.
Underneath your feet.
Ah.
Yeah, we're slacking. We didn't light up our sign. Damn us. Sometimes it's a Sunday morning. It's kind of shitty out. Kind of rainy and whoa.
Oh, hey.
Whoa. I said light the spark. I didn't mean that one. Mr. Joe was freaking trying to rub my legs or whatever the hell he's doing. Anyway.
Not true. Totally not true.
All right. So we have a new review from Matt Rab, R-A-A-B. I'm assuming it's Rob. But
could be. Like the broccoli?
Like
No?
Like the broccoli. Great show, 5-star review. Love listening to the podcast. I'll be going through a one-day conferral at the end of April. Can't wait and beginning my new journey. 5-star review. So, to Matt Robb. You ready, brother?
I'm ready.
Lead it.
Oh, God.
Yep.
Brother, right hand to arms.
2 arms.
Ready.
Ready.
Aim.
Aim.
Fire good fire, fire all. Together, brother.
Viva, viva, viva. Awesome. We have a bunch of new Patreons. I might as well just give them a shout out while I have the opportunity because I've been slacking on doing that. I've been slacking bad on the Patreon, so I apologize. We have Brother Farmer Alex, Eric Sousa, Jake 101, Bo Stokes, Scott Fritz, and Preston Eagle.
Oh.
Those are the newest ones. That was about 4 weeks ago. There were more before that, but I want to thank all the patrons. Joe, tell them how to do it.
So for as little as $5 a month, or did we lower that? Is it still as little as $5 a month?
Dude, we tell everybody $5. Some put in 15. Some put in 3. It's unrealistic. I can't get rid of the freaking tours. The tiers. Because there's people on it. If everybody got on the $5 tier, then it would charge people only $5. But hey, listen, you want to contribute more? That's on you.
So you, for as little as $5 a month, can join Patreon, where you will get exclusive access to our Discord channels, including multiple Masonic chats, and also our fantasy football chat that happens once a year, which is actually for charity. And you do have to pay in order to play. And then the money goes to charity, not to us. But you can't, not pay and then claim that you've won and then say that we stole money. So you'll get to go through all that. You'll get to see one of our favorite games called Battle Nips. And perhaps you may get the ever-elusive gold-toned Freemasons podcast pin, all for as little as $5 a month by joining Patreon. So look for us at the Freemasons podcast on Patreon.
And be expecting a roasting session when you come into the Discord channel because and just
Oh, and it comes with the complimentary rules pamphlet.
comes with a complimentary rules
Yeah,
pamphlet.
yes.
People-
Digital. We've gone digital on
People
that.
have been asking me about the pins. Yeah, I'm gonna get there. I promise you. I swear to God, I'm gonna get the pins. I'm thinking hopefully within another month or so, I should be in a position where I can get them. I still have a single pin, and after the show today, I'll talk to Joe about the company he used, and they should still have the die, right?
I would think so. I probably have it saved somewhere.
Okay, and then we'll get that rolling. But all right, start it up.
Start me up. Oh wait,
We're
we'll
gonna
get it edited
switch
for that.
over. Yeah, we're gonna switch over to the bringing it up now.
Why do you build me up, Buttercup baby?
The Wheel of Fortune. Oh, I didn't change
Dun,
the
dun,
That's all
dun,
right.
dun, 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 dun,
What the
dun,
hell?
dun, dun,
It
dun,
kicked
dun,
it out
dun,
and made me
dun,
start-
dun, 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 dun,
Damn
dun,
it.
dun. Well, you're about the same height as Pat Sajak, and I guess that makes me Vanna White.
Why did it boot me out of the? Oh, it took away all my freaking things I had. Anyway,
And yes, I do still have the last.
so
order.
while I'm doing this stuff because I have to fix all this crap now, can you please just do me a favor and fill in the gap while I try to.
I'm good at filling in gaps, especially large
I
ones.
don't understand why this did this.
And petite ones too. So let's while he's doing that, I'll talk about my Masonic week. I had a lot of fun this week. It started Masonically on Tuesday evening. Shout
yeah.
out to the brothers at Shepherd Salem Lodge in Naugatuck, Connecticut, just up the road a bit from where we are, where I had the privilege of delivering the middle chamber lecture. First time that I've done it in that building with that lodge. Thank you to Right Worthful Brother Mike Adams asking me to do that. I'm happy to do it. As people that listen to the podcast know that is my favorite degree, and that's one of my favorite lectures in all of Masonry. So it was a lot of fun. What they didn't tell me, though, and I didn't realize until I got there, because, hey, there's Steve Saxton. Hey, there's Peter Keefe all the way down from Litchfield, or Winstead. Oh, and there's, a bunch of other people. Hey, Mike, how come all these people are here? Oh, it's our inspection night. I didn't tell you that? No, you did not tell me that I was delivering the middle chamber lecture on your inspection night. But it was good. It was a good time. Think I delivered it well. Think the brother got a lot out of it. So that was a lot of fun. And then
Who put this on? Who put on the degree? I'm sorry, I missed that part.
It was Shepherd Salem's. Ray Savoy was in the East for the first part. Al Rollinson was in the East for the second half.
Well, Morningstar did an MM degree. Did you take part in that?
No, I
missed
did
it.
not. That was on the weekend. That was the Saturday before Easter, and I could not. Saturdays are not good for me in general, so I did not do that. But yeah, this was Shepherd Salem's fellow craft. There was one person going through as well, which is kind of nice. It makes that middle chamber lecture a little more intimate, a little more one-on-one, which is how I prefer to do it. And then Thursday night, I ventured over to the oldest lodge in the state of Connecticut, Hiram Number 1, out over on Whitney Avenue in New Haven, where I was invited by Worshipful Brother Al Johnson to deliver my presentation on Freemasonry and the tarot cards and the common symbology in both. So that was received well. We had a pretty big house that night. A lot of people came down. We even had brothers coming down from Seneca Lodge. Shout out to Worshipful Brother Rob Nemias and his crew that came down just to see that presentation. So pulled a lot of people in, had a lot of fun delivering that lecture. It's if you have any interest in the esoteric side at all, it's really cool. Even if you don't, there's enough there to keep you entertained. Even if you're just a fan of Led Zeppelin, there's the Hermit Tarot card that'll lock you into that. But no, that was a lot of fun delivering that. A lot of good feedback from it, and I'm actually delivering that same lecture at Morningstar at their stated communication this Thursday.
Nice.
So any brothers in the Connecticut area that want to come down to see the presentation, 6:30 is fellowship, 7:30 the state of communication, and sometime within that state of communication will be my presentation on Freemasonry and the tarot.
Yeah, I'm giving up on this because for whatever reason, it's not allowing me to spin the damn wheel that I have. So I'm just going to do it off my phone because that's where I have it saved. And then I'll tell you the categories, and we're going to go from there. So the first category.
Wheel. Oh, I'm sorry.
What?
I was just going to do like the Wheel of Fortune.
Go ahead.
Wheel of Destiny.
This is for alternate universe, and the first, excuse me, the first category is Masonry is in fact older. So it's older than what we believe.
Okay.
What would happen if that
were actually
true?
Okay.
Worst ending for Freemasonry. What would be your worst ending for Freemasonry?
Like if it ceased to exist?
Like what would be the ending? Like, what would be the worst ending for Freemasonry to come to an end?
Okay.
Is the best way I can explain it. If Masons had magical powers.
Oh, we don't?
Like a Hogwarts type thing.
I can shoot lightning bolts out of my arse.
If Masonry was actually, in fact, villainous.
Oh.
If we were
the
nefarious.
dark side.
Yeah. National Treasure is true.
Oh, okay.
If National Treasure is actually a true thing, where Nicolas Cage goes down in the basement
And he finds the Templar treasure.
look at all the treasure.
That's me. That was me. Sorry.
Masonry in its implementations were found on Atlantis.
Oh, okay.
All right. So here we go. We're going to spin the wheel. The wheel spins, the wheel spins, the wheel's spinning, and it lands on... Come on. If Masonry was actually villainous.
Oh.
If Masonry is villainous. So you can't see it, but that's where it landed.
Yep, I can see that.
All right. So I guess all the conspiracy theorists can have fun with this one because, I mean, this is right up their alley. What if we were, in fact, villainous? Joe, I'm going to start with you.
Yes.
How do you feel that Freemasonry could be or would be villainous? On top of that, would it be from its ancient origins villainous, or if it became villainous?
I would think...
No, I'm saying pick a scenario for both.
Yeah,
I'm doing both.
Okay. So I'm going to start with if it became villainous. And I think...
How would it happen, and what would they do?
How would it happen? There would be some type of global crisis.
Okay.
Where it would start off well-intentioned.
Okay.
Hey, the world is a horrible place. We, as the largest global fraternity, are going to step in and start reforming society, start to reform norms and social values based on our teachings, because we believe that's the way to go. Mm-hmm. And it probably starts as an education piece. And then slowly turns into an indoctrination.
Okay.
And then it becomes the people that are not on board with it become villainized.
Okay.
We stop we stop encouraging free thought, and the universality of Masonry goes away and becomes a very strict Gestapo type organization.
This is the way it is, in a sense.
And then it just becomes a very strict letter of the law formation that starts to take over everything. And if you're either part of it or you're not part of it, it almost becomes like
66.
Like you can go at the Empire, you can go, the various political parties that may have started well-intentioned and it got away from them.
Right.
And I think that's a story that's been told throughout time, where you get together a bunch of well-intentioned people, and then at some point down the line, it loses sight of what it was originally founded for and becomes this indoctrination, this power over people, because we know better than you now. So you have to do it our way, or otherwise, I don't know, we'll send you somewhere.
Right.
So that's how I could see in an alternate universe it becoming villainous. If it were to go back to our ancient origins.
If it started off as a nefarious thing.
So
if it actually started off as like being
What if it started off as Lucifer actually referring to Satan and the devil in those ancient ancient texts? And when we talk about the light bearer, that we're not actually talking about Venus or the morning star. It's actually referring to
the man
Satan,
himself.
the man himself, the fallen angel, and all of the rituals and everything else that are in there are just a veil for what's really there.
Which is kind of the argument, I think, for a lot of conspiracy theorists, that it's a veil and that, Masonry is not what it used to be and they've changed, but underlyingly, it's actually about that, which it's not. I'm going to be clear, but
behind it, there's this whole shadow council that knows what's going on, is manipulating society and has been for a couple of thousand years to do their bidding and to get their way and their power, and we're all just puppets in their world.
So I think we could actually probably do another one if you wanted to, because, this one's pretty cut and dry. I think, for me, if Freemasonry has become nefarious, I think it would happen I think it could happen. I don't want to say it would happen. I want to say it could happen if Freemasonry became the target of society. There's no doubt in my mind that Freemasonry, anytime that somebody's gone against it, let's use Nazi Germany, for example, Freemasonry still, it fought back in its own way. Again, Masonry as itself is, the Mason himself is a calm, cool, collected individual, but I think if the craft itself was ever under fire from, let's say, world governments all decided that we're going to go after Freemasonry, I think there would be in this alternate universe, there would be backlash of Masonry. I don't think that they would just, we've talked about this before, but I don't think that they would just pack up shop and say, okay, we're done. I think Freemasonry would go underground, and it would become a pull and push type thing between those who want to end it. This happened. This happened. It happened with what's his nuts with the anti-Masonic party. There was actually a political party that tried stopping Freemasonry, and you had backlash from it. You had Masons fight back against it. You had a president who was elected, who was a Freemason in opposition to the anti-Masonic party. Andrew Jackson was elected. This happened. Nowadays, I don't know if it would happen the way that happened back in the day. But I think for me, the first thing you would see would be as if Freemasonry was outlawed, or it was become villainous. I think that's how it would happen. It would happen with them trying to shut Freemasonry down, and that's where they would go, all right, up your ass. This is what we're going to do. And the first thing I think that they would do is they would pull every dollar that Freemason, and I'm not going to get into specifics. I'm not going to get into talking points about how much lodges make or how much they have invested into the stock market. But let's just say what we have, and me and you are both treasurers, you more so than me. You're the chairman of Morningstar, but we have a substantial amount of money in stocks. Mm-hmm. And we're a small lodge.
Yes.
Now, take that to the Scottish Rite.
Yeah.
Take that to Grand Lodges.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money that's in stock markets. I think instantly they would pull that.
Now imagine
right from the stock market.
Globally.
Think about that. They pull them globally. You're going to watch stock markets crash left and right.
Something like that as fragile as the EU could collapse overnight.
Yeah.
Like the EU is very fragile financially right now. And just pulling that. Like imagine, so when you talk through that, I'm thinking it's like if we have the power that people think we do, but we do have a decent amount of, I'll say, leverage, not power.
Leverage.
But let's say we were actually as powerful and all-encompassing as people thought. It'd be like pissing off Superman.
Yeah.
And Superman just finally losing his shit. Kind of like in, the one
where
he gets drunk in the bar with Richard Pryor?
No, I didn't see that one. I was going to go with, you ever seen the, I think it's like a TikTok video of Super Mario losing his shit?
Oh, no, I have not seen that.
He starts throwing the hammer and smashing people and ripping their heads off and putting on the shell and everything. Anyway.
But just like imagine Superman got sick and tired of being trampled on and this Boy Scout mentality. And it's like, you know what? F you all. Let me show you what I'm really capable of just to teach you all a lesson.
Yeah. He'd become an anti-villain.
Yeah. Or an anti-hero.
The anti-hero.
Yeah, I knew what you meant. But it's like, if somebody has that amount of power and they just lose their shit, or they just get pissed off and start to use it in a negative way,
Right.
which is true of anything. If you have a certain amount of leverage or power,
Right.
and you decide to use it for bad rather than good,
Just say
that
fuck it.
can...
Yeah.
Yeah. Now you really pissed me off. So...
So with that being said, I mean, that would be number one. You'd see a collaboration of a lot more Grand Lodges starting to consolidate and talk to one another. And I don't really think Grand Lodges across the world really just talk that much. With the exception of the United Grand Lodge of England, they have a huge encompassment of a bunch of nations. Whereas here in the United States, again, it's each state has a Grand Lodge. But I think you'd see a lot more Grand Masters all meeting and discussing in about what we're all going to do. I also think that you'd see Masonry go underground. You'd watch web pages go down. You'd watch minutes become secret. I mean, they're not quote unquote public knowledge, but it's
Right.
not that hard to find.
No.
You know what I mean? You can find out who's part of a lodge with relative ease, I think. I mean, Christ, you can go to the Grand Lodge of the state of Connecticut and find out if your relative was a member of a lodge. Mm-hmm. I mean, John Q. Public can do this.
Right.
You can walk into the Grand Lodge and say, hey, my grandfather...
Hey, Deb, help me out.
I think my grandfather was a Mason. What's your last name? What's your first name? Okay, well, we have these many Masons with this last name, and they're part of these lodges. Boom. I mean...
What towns were they
What
in?
town was they in?
Yeah.
You can find out with relative ease. But you'd see that go away. You'd probably see, like, the old... You'd see... like in Roman times when they were the Roman army would leave, they would burn documents and they would hide critical information. I mean, military still does it today, where they burn documents and get rid of it, unless you're in the Air Force. But I think you'd see a lot of Masons. It would go completely underground, which would also cause a big problem for the real estate, because Masons, we have lodges. We own buildings, and you'd watch these buildings just go up for sale all over the place. And we would go back to a very meet in tavern attics and people's houses. And this is true because Morningstar Lodge met originally in Oxford, and it was in Abel Wheeler's house. That's where Lodge was up, in the hall of Abel Wheeler's, what the freaking thing says. And you would see that kind of happen. Money would be consolidated, withholding. All of our charitable shit that we do would come to a halt, I believe. And you would see that money being allocated and used in different ways to probably do what lobbyists do in governments, and that is manipulate.
Yep.
And that, I think, would be the nefarious end of Freemasonry, where money would start being funneled to sympathizers and supporters in order to get rid of those who don't want us around anymore. And Freemasonry, in a sense, would become a lobby organization in a true secret society.
Yep.
Where we're now starting to manipulate how the world works, just to keep ourselves safe. And again, this is all hypothetical. This really doesn't happen. But, I mean, in this alternate universe, I could see that happening.
Yeah, for sure.
If it was nefarious from the beginning, or what I say nefarious, villainous. If it was villainous from the beginning, I don't think Freemasonry would exist. And here's why. Many Masons came to Freemasonry for its charitable work, its good works, making good men better. You've basically ripped the carpet out from underneath. It would go. I think it would go by the way of the dodo bird, much like the much like the Illuminati did. Realistically, I mean, the Illuminati. I mean, who was Adam Weishaupt, ran it in Bavaria and all that stuff. That's what he was about, was toppling governments, getting away from kings and queens and churches and all that stuff. He had this whole utopian idea of, we don't need governments, because if everybody just runs themselves by the moral law, then everything will be fine. And we know that's not the case. Unfortunately, people don't think like that. You do need some sort of a overhead government or a power that keeps the peace, right?
Yep. Yep.
So I think in this situation, I don't think Freemasonry, if it started off villainous, nefarious, whatever you want to call it, maleficent, if you think, I don't think it would exist to this day. Only because you're now attracting a certain amount of people that are just rabble rousers and trouble starters, and I don't think people in general want that. I don't think that's how society works. We don't want. We like what? Keep the peace, right?
Yeah.
Realistically, in the end, everybody just wants to live happy and peacefully. Nobody wants to go to war, fight, or it's just not our human nature, I think. And I don't think that it would. I don't think it would have lasted as much as it would have. That's just my opinion. Let's see here. Let's go to the comments real quick. Hef Tiger, hello. Where's the wine? So I put up that we were going live earlier this morning on Instagram, and I went to write which one will it pick, and I wrote which wine will it pick, and he called me on it, and he said, I hope they pick Shiraz or something.
I prefer a nice Merlot.
He said a red one.
Yeah, definitely red. Shiraz is a nice one. The Greg Norman Shiraz is actually pretty darn good.
Yeah, so I'm getting my balls busted about my typo. Jed, Worshipful Brother Past Master. Good morning, brothers from sunny Florida. Good morning. Hey, brethren. Jersey Cowboy. I would like to come visit your lodge. All right, so let's address this real quick. Thank you for bringing that up because you're not the first person who said, I want to come visit the lodge. We're open for visitors anytime. The only thing is, if you're a Mason, yes, this is a podcast. We still follow the Masonic etiquette, which would be you need to contact your secretary, which would contact our secretary, and go through the proper channels.
Just for security and safety of everybody involved. And the fact that we cannot converse Masonically with somebody who may not belong to a recognized lodge. So that just to do our due diligence and make sure everybody's safe. And
Correct.
We'll know to pack that day.
And
what? What?
Packet of pistols, what you're talking about.
Just in case, for everybody's safety.
Most of our lodge packs anyway.
I know.
But realistically, besides the safety factor of it, I mean, it's a Masonic etiquette. Like, if you want to visit another lodge, I mean, it's just how it works. Like, we're still Masons. I mean, yes, we're the podcast, but the podcast is still under the umbrella, in a Masonic lodge of Morningstar Lodge, and which is also the encompassment of the Grand Lodge, and this is the Grand Lodge's rules. And I have no problem with visitors and people coming up here and wanting to see us and meet us and all that stuff and attending a lodge. That's totally cool. I only ask that you go through the proper Masonic channels, because again, the other thing is we don't know if you're an EA, we don't know if you're just a person off the street. If that's the case, if you're a person off the street or even an EA, at least in our jurisdiction, you cannot travel Masonically unless you're an MM. So we got to cover our ass as well.
And don't forget your $20 application fee.
And your $20.
No, we did away with that. Oh,
I have no idea if we do or not.
No, I'm kidding. I just made it up.
James Devaney, kind of like Bizarro World. What does FFL mean?
Fantasy Football League. Imagine, if you will, a charity football league where everyone pays to get in, except for you. And then you claim to win and wonder why you don't get your money.
You two with the fantasy football. It's never going to end, is it?
You are now entering the fantasy football zone.
What do you say? You want to do another one? You want to do another...
Spin the wheel, see what we get. If we like it, we'll do it. If not, then we'll...
Spinning the wheel. We'll do one more. No, it went to the same...
I'm not spinning the bottle with you again.
Yeah, it went to the same one, so I'm going to spin it again.
Speaking of spin the bottle, where's Raph been lately? He's probably down the street at the breakfast down at the firehouse. Maybe I have to go say hello to him afterwards. No, they're doing Citizens Firehouse is doing a.
How many times you gonna land on Villainous? I'm just gonna take the slide out. There we go. Boom. They landed on Villainous like 3 fucking times.
Villainous? Oh, it's like one of those rigged ones.
Masonry is in fact older. How would that change us? How would that change if we found out that Freemasonry was in fact older than the 1700s that we subscribe to?
So it did, in fact, everything that we've heard about the Knights Templar and the original builders of King Solomon's Temple. If all that were in fact proven to be true, if that were all
proven to be true, let's say they're digging underneath the pyramids, or Gobekli Tempe or something like that, and bam, there's a square and compass right on the freaking wall.
Yeah, that would be.
How would that change our ritual? How do you think that would change us, Joe?
I think in a certain way, it would kind of legitimize some things. It would separate us from a lot of the other fraternal organizations that are out there that do great work. Not taking anything away from them, but there's something that they find a number 10 can of green beans under the pyramid. That would be one way to know. But I think it would almost legitimize things to a point. It's like it would take all that conjecture away of, hey, when did it start? Did it really just start in the 1700s? How old is it really? I think it would change the perception. I don't know that it would change what we do or how we would act as Masons. The tenets are the tenets, and what we do is what we do. I think from inside the organization, it wouldn't really change us all that much, but from the outsider looking in, I think it would change their perception of it.
I think we need to get a can of green beans and just leave it up here next to Puppet George.
We could do that.
Because, I mean, it's kind of like the thing now. It's like every Mason Lodge does green beans. And what is it, lemon chicken? Is that what the other dish is?
The lemon chicken is a big one. Sometimes it's just pasta, too.
I hate eating pasta. I hate it. Hate it. Yeah, green beans and lemon chicken. All right, so for me, if Freemasonry was in fact found to be older, I think Brother Scott Walter would have a field day with that shit. He would go wild because, I mean, everything that he basically is trying to figure out
yeah,
it's been proven.
Well, the quick shout out to Scott Walter since you mentioned him. So there is a big part of my tarot and Freemasonry presentation that talks about the sacred feminine, which is like one of his big things, and a lot of the symbolism he looks into in his wife Janet on her book it really goes back to the sacred feminine. So shout out to Scott and Janet Walter.
We need to have them on again.
He still needs one more before he gets his varsity jacket,
his
right?
Varsity jacket, yep. I'm an MM in New Jersey, Jersey Cowboy. Awesome. Yeah, like I said, just
Let's go Devils.
Yeah, let's go Devils. Damn right. Oh, you're a Devils fan too?
On and off.
What's your other team then?
Hereford Whalers, which doesn't exist anymore, and I hate the Hurricanes. I will not root for them. I hate them, like with a passion. So I latched on to the Devils because being a Whalers fan, I couldn't be a Bruins fan.
I knew you were a freaking Rangers fan, Devaney. I knew it. I just knew it.
That explains a lot.
That explains a lot.
That's okay.
Shitbags. Devils, baby.
I just hope for a good series. Like, it's enough where I'm a Devils fan enough where I'll enjoy it if they win. I want a really good series, first and foremost. Devils in 7.
Devils in 7.
That's where I'm going.
Yep, I hope so. I'm big time Devils fan. All right. So let's get back into this. So if Freemasonry was found to be so number one, I don't think it would be called Freemasonry as we know it today. It would be. It would probably be more of a tie, meaning like the mystery schools became stonemason guilds became Freemasonry. I think that would be the tie. I don't think it would actually be like Freemasonry. You know, we have green beans. I don't think it would be tattooed on the side of the pyramids. But however, excuse me. However, I think it would be a tie. In other words, there would be a document found that would tie the ancient stone guilds to the mystery schools of ancient Egypt and all that stuff. So this is where I'm going to go with this. I think that it would not. I don't think it would change what we do today. I really don't. I think there would be a big "ha-ha, told you so" from a lot of Freemasons.
Yeah.
How it would change us, though, I do believe our ritual would be changed. I think our ritual would be, I don't want to say changed. The ritual would still be the same, but I feel that the Scottish Rite would capitalize on that instantaneously, and they would begin pushing more degrees of ancient Egypt and the connection to the stonemasons. Because let's put it this way. Let's be real. Scottish Rite is very innovative. Innovative with their degrees. They change them frequently. They keep the same story, the same lessons to be learned, but they change them.
They change the way
They change the way.
told, yeah.
I think that they would capitalize on that instantaneously. They would start pushing degrees about ancient, because what does that do when you do that? You captivate an audience that now, when the news breaks that, Freemasonry is found to be way older, it's tied to the mystery schools. You're going to get a group of people that are going to be like, I want to join Freemasonry because I want to learn about this.
Right.
And the Scottish Rite, I'm sorry, they are fantastic with their I don't want to say sell or their recruitment. What are you?
Their marketing.
Their marketing. They're fantastic with it, and I think absolutely they would zero in that. I don't think Blue Lodges would. I think they would stay their lane where they are, but the Scottish Rite absolutely would capitalize on that. And I think a lot more emphasis would be on from archaeologists and whatever would zero in on that. And I think it definitely would change Freemasonry. And we could literally, we are the oldest fraternity, but now we can say we are an ancient fraternity.
Right.
Rather than a oldest fraternity. We are an ancient fraternity. So, yeah, I would even tie in that I think people would start trying to find connections between good old JC and Freemasonry. And here's why. I believe, quote me if I'm wrong, but in his teen years, Jesus left Israel, Judah, wherever he was, and went to Egypt.
To learn the ancient mysteries. That's one of the theories
And
out there,
I got a
because he
feeling-
disappeared and came back when he was 33.
I'm hooked on a feeling.
Oh, here we freaking go.
Hooked on a feeling.
Somebody's been watching Guardians of the Galaxy
I
too
have
much.
been.
I know.
But I got a feeling that would be the next route that they would try to make a connection to. Once that keystone is found, the connection between the ancient mystery schools and the Stone Guilds that eventually became Freemasons, I think you're going to see a plethora of people trying to connect now. Good old JC to Freemasonry, and now this opens up a whole new can of worms because religion's going to fight back hard.
Well, that would
shit.
be the bit. Because imagine, if you will, again, I'll go Twilight Zone. Imagine, if you will, a world where everybody realized, hey, all of our different religions are like a multi-century and millennia game of telephone where we are now, the message has gotten bastardized. But if we go back to the original message, it's all the same.
And that's kind of what the hell I've been saying since the Lost Book of Enki.
And
it's all the same.
Prescribe to that as well. It's like if you go back, you've got all these branches on a tree, you get closer and closer to the trunk, you realize
Next on the outer limits.
So that would blow a hole into organized religion like you read about, which is part of the reason why Freemasonry's been suppressed by a lot of mainstream religions.
Now, I think this can go one of two ways. It would blow a hole and there'd be a banging of the heads. No, that's not true. Blah, blah, blah. Or you'd have the opposite. For instance, the Vatican has they have a satellite in, I think it's southern Arizona. I believe it's called the Lucifer 1 or something like that. The Vatican. And it's searching for extraterrestrials. And the Vatican has made many claims about if we ever found life on other planets, that still doesn't dispute or take away from God. They've become more and more open to things such as science and such as extraterrestrials. So, maybe the church takes a different route and goes, well, hey, maybe we're not so different after all.
Right. Maybe we're all children of the same creator.
Maybe Freemasonry and the Catholic Church or churches as a whole need to work together to discover more.
Yeah.
You may have might go the polar opposite way.
Right.
Whereas now, both sides would be like, well, hey, we've been fighting for so many years, but shit, maybe we're one and the same. Maybe we're both just heading to the same direction on two different paths.
Right.
We're coming to the intersection here. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Which could possibly be
In order for that to happen, you'd have to find a way to remove all money, politics, and power from organized religion.
Absolutely.
You'd have to, because that's
us
what
as
they're
well,
competing over. Yes.
Us as well. It would be no different with us.
Yes.
So I think that would be interesting. That would
Yeah.
mind blowing. Holy shit! And I think it would bring. I think initially, if that was before the JC thing, if we were found to be an older organization than we actually were, you would see a lot more people joining Freemasonry right off the rip. And I think it would tip the scales. Me personally, I think it would tip the scales if you see our loss of membership to start or increase, because people are like, holy shit, these guys are onto something. Yep. And if you tied that shit to Jesus Christ, oh my God, you'd see both religion and Freemasonry start to rise. And both, I mean, because there's no doubt there's a decline in religion and there's a decline in Freemasonry. It's across the board. Nobody is part of these things anymore. They're, for whatever various reasons, you're seeing a decline in membership of both religion and Freemasonry. And if they both are on the rise, I don't think the two biggest heavy hitters would bang heads, because they're both on the rise. I think they would join forces personally.
Potentially.
I feel that they would.
Unless you prescribe to the philosophy of Colonel Andy Tanner from the original Red Dawn. Two biggest bullies on the block, gonna fight sometime.
All right. Yeah, I guess. Well, let's put it this way. I'm being optimistic.
I know.
I'm being optimistic rather than pessimistic. I think that if the yellow brick road tied out to holy shit, we might actually be finding the same things, because I think, well, let's go with the JC thing. If he did, in fact, go to the ancient mystery schools and Freemasonry is tied to those ancient mystery schools, let's just say in this alternate universe, Freemasonry becomes tied to these ancient mystery schools, I think the church is going to want to know what happened in those ancient mystery schools, and if Freemasonry is the key to the door of those ancient mystery schools, the church is going to want to know what the hell, where was he in his teen years?
Right, and who else was there?
And what was he learning? And who else was there? And I think the church would want to know that, because they do research just like we do.
And again, imagine a place where JC, Buddha, Muhammad, and any other great prophet or religious figure back from those days, maybe not all attended at the same time, but went to the same school. Like, learned the same lessons. Like the Library of Alexandria, I think we lost a lot that we'll never recover from, and I think a lot of that stuff was there. However, like, just imagine if they're all students of the same school.
Yeah.
What if the ancient mysteries was like the Yale or Harvard of the world back then, and they just attended the same school at different times, but learned the same things?
Before it got burned to the ground, you had the Library of Alexandria where all the ancient texts were held, and it got burned to the freaking ground. So, I mean, there's so much that we don't know.
Right.
I think, for me personally, I think if we become tied to the ancient mystery schools of ancient Egypt, in the church, I think there might be hey, listen, we're going to open up our Vatican vault, and we're going to give you what you got on Freemasonry. You give us what you got. And I think thered be a trade, personally, because I know that the Vatican has a lot of things that are tied to Freemasonry that they haven't given up and that they won't give up.
Yeah.
And I feel that we have things that, if in this case we would have or start to learn things about that, then that they don't know.
Right. And when you talk about the Catholic Church, I'm just going to take a little sidebar, but show that they're really not Freemasonry and Christianity or Catholicism aren't that far apart, just by the fact that an organization like the Rosicrucians exist.
Yeah.
It's the mystical and occult side of...
Jesuits, too.
Is it the Rosicrucians, are they just Christianity, or are they occult side of Catholicism? I don't know enough about it, and I don't want to misspeak, but it's one of them. I know it's definitely with Christianity. I don't know if it's specifically
I know the Jesuits are tied to Catholicism.
Yeah.
But I can see in Freemasonry, I feel like would be open to it. They'd be like, yeah, because if they came looking to talk to Freemasonry about this newly discovered that we're part of, where we knew of the ancient mysteries, I think the Freemason would be open to it because it kind of gives a legitimacy now that both religion and Freemasonry, which is a study of the sciences, if you will, I think it would tie in nicely for both of us.
And what if the hidden symbols and allegory and lessons in Freemasonry were the key to the cipher of whatever they were holding?
I think that'd be freaking wild.
Yeah, and that they couldn't decode it or decipher it without us.
Yeah, that'd be some
saying,
wild
"Hey,
shit.
wow, wait a minute. There's something in our ritual that is the answer to that."
Yeah.
That'd be a cool thing.
That would be wild. You want to do one more?
One more quick one.
One more quick one. Spin it. Boom. What do we got here?
Spin it, Spinderella.
Worst ending for Freemasonry.
Oh God.
Woo-hoo. What would be the worst ending for Freemasonry?
Big asteroid comes through, hurls itself into the earth, it splits in half, and we all die.
That would be a bad one.
And then Bruce Willis tries to save us.
Ben Affleck actually did.
Both of them.
As long as it's not John Cusack.
John Cusack was in that?
No, he was in
okay.
freaking 2012 or something like that, that movie. Where
I remember him in
2012
there.
was supposed to be the end of the Mayan calendar.
Oh.
All right, worst end for Masonry. What would you think? What would be the worst end for Freemasonry?
Some kind of scandal that would rock it. Probably something along the lines or worse than what happened to the Catholic Church about 15, 20 years ago with the scandals that they've gone through. Mm-hmm. If it ends, if it dies out, if it just goes a silent death, then so be it. But to go out in shame to the point where people were to renounce their membership because they had no other choice because something was so horrific.
Yeah.
That would, to me, would be the worst end because it would delegitimize everything that we've dedicated our lives to, the way of living that Freemasonry is.
Can I piggyback that?
Yeah.
I just want to say, while we're on that subject, there are bad apples in every single organization.
Absolutely. Yes.
So, I mean, the scandal would have to be
It would have to be
pretty
widespread,
bad, widespread.
yes.
It wouldn't be just one shitbag who slipped through
No.
slipped through our net, and because we have a pretty extensive, right, Joe? Would you say we have a pretty extensive vetting, if you will?
Yeah.
We're pretty.
If you do it correctly, yes. If you're not worried about numbers and you're worried about quality, yes, we have a pretty extensive vetting process.
Quality is a problem because some lodges. I don't want to say all because it's
You're worried
not
about
all.
numbers.
They're worried about putting hot asses in seats.
Yes.
And I think it's a real bad practice, which is why I hate the one-day conferrals. You're just pumping people through like a freaking. It's mass production.
Yep.
And I don't agree with it. I don't like the one-day conferrals. I think it takes away. But that's just me. So real quickly, and then we'll cut this off. My worst ending for Freemasonry would be kind of where we're heading right now. Loss in membership. See here, and this is my problem. And I'm going to talk right to what we're going through in Freemasonry right now. Freemasonry has a lot of time and money invested in charitable work. A lot. We have charities, and Freemasonry became now, in my opinion, I'm going to get shit on all over for this, but I don't care. I'm going to just call a spade a spade. We have a lot of money invested in what we have. We have hospitals. We have children for dyslexia. We have a lot of things and organizations that we give money to. Okay. And it's true that the shit that you own ends up owning you. And I think that's where Freemasonry's at right now, because what we're seeing is, we have these grand lodges that have these grand hospitals and grand this and grand that and all this money going out. But we're losing membership. There's no doubt about that. We're losing membership. Well, guess who pays for all those things? Your Masons, your individual Blue Lodge, Morningstar lodges, your Ashlar Aspatucks, your lodges around your Harmony 42s. They pay for this shit because we have to kick up to Grand Lodge during an assessment. What is it, $62?
I think it's up to $67.50.
For half a year, right? So it's twice a year.
we pay the assessment in two settings, but it's one bill.
Okay. Well,
So
okay.
it's like, hey, it's based on, let's say you had 100 people,
Right.
$67.50.
Okay.
You have to pay the $675, but then
Right.
you could split it into two payments of whatever the
For
math.
2 easy payments.
For as little as $5.
So you have the 67.50. All right. So that's what 100 and I don't even know math. I'm suck at math. I'm suck at reading. I suck at math. So what's 67 times 2? I don't know. Somebody help me out in the comments here.
134.
134. We'll just go with that. We'll just go 135, round number. 135. I know it's not a round number, but we're going to go with it. 135, right? Per Mason per year. That gets kicked up to Grand Lodge.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we talked about the last session. There was a budget that was going to be set that wanted to raise that assessment, correct? On lodges? Substantially.
Yes.
Now, what are you doing in that situation? You're bleeding the lodges, your blue lodges that provide this support dry. Because not only can't they afford their own freaking rent, they're losing membership, so you're jacking up the price for the individual Masons to a point where, I'm sorry, your blue-collar Masons who work a 9-to-5 job every day cannot afford to be a Mason anymore, so what do? They demit. And then
Right.
what do you have to do later? Oh, we got to jack up the assessment again for the ones that
Now you
remain.
have less people, right?
And then you have less people, and you have less people. In my ending that I see from Freemasonry, that would be eventually you're killing the craft, and you're shutting down these lodges, and now the Grand Lodges are making less and less money. And what's going to happen is you're killing Freemason. You're killing your individual blue lodges by the shit that the Grand Lodges owning them, and now they're trying to make up for this loss every single year. And let's be real, I don't know, again, I want to be clear, I don't know what state of Connecticut Grand Lodge's finances are or anything, so I'm not talking about my Grand Lodge or any other Grand Lodge, but what's ultimately going to happen is the well's going to run dry, and these community organizations and hospitals and the money and shit that we funnel to all these charitable organizations is going to dry up, and what you're going to be left with is nothing. And I think that's how I think that's where we're headed if we don't make a change. And I personally feel that, I don't know, and it sounds shitty to say, but I think we do need to surrender some of these hospitals and stuff to the state, or surrender, or just make them a separate organization and stop trying to get money. And rather than giving money from Grand Lodge to a higher organization, give it back to your blue lodges so that the lodges don't lose their buildings. Put more money into bringing on Masons rather than trying to take money from them. And I think ultimately what you do is you see the pendulum swing the opposite direction. But right now, that's where I'm at. I think that's what's going to be. That's the worst Masonic ending, would be not being able to keep solvent.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be the worst ending.
But I would say that ending could also be a new beginning and a return to the principles and original tenets of Freemasonry. Of maybe you don't own buildings. You're meeting in a tavern. You're meeting in a house like we used to do. The charity that you practice may not be something as high as on an almost corporate level.
No, it would be community based.
It's a community based. Go help your neighbor. The widow down the street needs help with her leaves. Go help. That's charity.
Personally, I think that's where it needs to go.
Charity doesn't have to.
It doesn't have to be this
money.
grandiose. Yeah, exactly.
And
I 1,000% agree.
to me, there's a difference in charity. There's a difference between stroking a check and being done with it, or actually investing your time and putting in the sweat or the effort. Not saying stroking a check is a bad thing, by no means, but it's a little bit of an easy way out. It's more convenient. Hey, I could stroke this check for $20, $50, $100, whatever, and okay, I've honored my commitment. I could write it off on my taxes, or I can get out there and get my hands dirty and really make a difference, and maybe nobody ever knows.
Yeah, I mean, take the money you make from a charity event in your lodge, bring it to somebody who needs it, find somebody who's struggling, and put a roof on their freaking house. Build a wheelchair ramp. I mean, this is charity. This is helping your community. I think that the whole corporate end of it, it sucks because you're bleeding money left and right. Jeb W. Worship Brother Past Master. How much goes to Masonic? I really don't know.
Don't know.
I have no idea. I'm not in that circle. I have no idea. I'm assuming a lot.
Yeah, and not for nothing. Let's just take a step back. We're not crapping on Masonic hair.
No,
we're not
no,
saying
no,
it's
no,
a
no, no.
bad
No,
thing.
no.
What we're saying is, if it gets too big, it could ultimately. It's like any quote unquote business that expands too big, and goes too much too fast.
Yep.
There's risks associated with that.
Right.
So
I don't think when they did the inception of Masonic Care, all these charity things, they expected the membership numbers to shrink. They looked at it what it was at the time, and they said, "Oh yeah, we can do this, and we have enough members. We can do this. We can
Right.
float this. Not a problem." But I mean, now you're seeing a decline in membership, and the well's running dry, and I think, and that's kind of where I'm going with
there
that.
may be a
is-
restructure or reorganization
Yeah.
that needs to go on. But like Masonic Care is a wonderful organization. It's a two-time past associate grand almoner. I believe in the program. I believe in what they do.
Yep.
There just may need to be a change of scale.
Yep.
At some point. And they shut down the Newtown location a few years back because they realized that wasn't a good thing. And that was a difficult decision to make, but it was the right decision to make.
Yeah.
But it's just like it's all about scale.
Yeah.
It really, what it comes down to is scale. And as membership declines, then we may need to adjust scale.
Yeah.
That's all. That's all I got.
I agree. So I mean, that's my ending for Freemasonry. It withers away to nothing, and it starves itself. That's how I feel. But I like the scandal idea because that would suck too.
That would suck. That would hit us at our core.
All right, Joe. What do you think? Think we beat this one?
I think we beat this one. I think we're good.
All right. And we're going to shut it down. Thank you all for tuning in. Write in the comments what you think about the alternate universes. And we'll catch you next time.
Smell you later.
Smell you later. For the Freemasons Podcast, I am Right Worship Brother George Mudry signing off.
Worshipful Brother Joe signing off.
Have a